This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
We are talking with Hidden Killers contributor and former FBI special agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, discussing the optics, discussing the repercussions, discussing maybe the positive notes. Maybe. Although, I know you, Jennifer, and I know this doesn't really ring well on a positive note. We're talking about Leslie Van Houten, one of Manson's family members, now free. You could run into her at the Starbucks, in theory. What are your thoughts on her release after all these years?
For me, no. I know a lot of people, and some people with very strong credentials say she was brainwashed. She was under the influence of Charles Manson. She was on heavy drugs at the time. She had poor judgment. She was young. No, I just can't buy into any of it from the standpoint of, if you watch the trial footage, if you've read the book Helter Skelter, if you've seen the articles, how they acted during the entire trial was just, with the swastikas on their heads and the taunting and the laughing and giggling. And, they weren't under the influence of drugs then.
Yeah.
They were in custody. And it takes a special person, in my opinion, to be able to be involved in massacring another human. And this wasn't just a stab wound or two. This was stab wound after stab wound. I believe she herself admitted to 14 stab wounds. Mm-hmm. Supposedly the individual was deceased. Well, how did she know that? She wasn't a medical doctor. Nevertheless, you're plunging a knife into, the flesh of another. We know that they wrote on the belly of their victims. We know that they used the blood by putting their hands in their blood and smearing it on the walls and writing. This was really a demonic type of crime. And what I'm seeing happen is the victims are again forgotten. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're never going to have another birthday party, they don't get to see sunrises. They don't get another chance. They're dead. Mm-hmm. And I think it's wrong for the person that was convicted, for the person that actually barely escaped the death penalty, when it was overturned mm-hmm. and had to serve life. I just think it's wrong. This is about punishment. Is she rehabilitated? Would she never do this again? I don't know. But this is about punishment for taking another's life. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it, and conspiring to do so.
So many of the arguments that I've heard is, well, what is the point of rehabilitation in prison if we don't recognize it when it has taken place? And I get that for certain types of crimes. This isn't exactly one of those where they stole something or it was a much lesser crime. Everything you just described was absolutely horrific. And I don't quite understand the argument, that one, or the one that's being made of, well, she was 19. We've all done young, dumb things at that age. Yes, we have. But again, it does take a special individual to be able to pull off that at that age.
Yeah, when you're talking about mischievousness at night, shoplifting, banging up mailboxes, climbing water towers, that's what the normal thing, that normal, mischievous stuff, and they get in trouble and you get a record and for destruction of property or for robbery or something like that. If you went in and stole something in front of somebody, telling them, listen, give me, your money. That's something to me that you can look back at and possibly you can be rehabilitated. And that is why in our law that you serve lesser time. Mm-hmm. You don't get life for robbing somebody, for making a mistake in your younger years. But we're talking about, as I mentioned, the horrific death and really just slaughtering of other individuals. And that's where this line was crossed. Remember, there were many other followers of Charles Manson mm-hmm. at Spa Ranch. And only a couple handfuls committed the crimes against the Tates and LaBiancas. Mm-hmm. What about all the rest? They were also under the influence. They were also using heavy drugs. This is a special crime, and there is no way somebody should just get a pass and be released, in my opinion.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.